in today's episode of Simulation Sunday. This is why it's very important to stick to your bias. Top-down analysis is what gives you the confidence to execute on a lower time frame, and this is just an entry that shows why. Yo, what up guys? Welcome to a new Simulation Sunday. Today is jam-packed full of information about the higher time frame and how to actually do a proper top-down analysis. I only took 2 trades in this session, but I explain into detail what makes the actual setup high probability. Make sure to watch the entire video. I hope you enjoy. Make sure to subscribe and like. All right, guys, let's start this simulation. Focus will be on top-down analysis. We're gonna do DXY and Euro USD over here. This time, let's do 10%, a little bit more. Some prop firms have 10% profit target, so let's do 10%. But before we start, let's get a random date. Let's do on Sunday, because sometimes the Monday candle is already gone. Okay, 10%. Let's trade this session. Let's remove all the drawings from the previous simulations. Let's see what we got over here. So we start on the monthly, right? This is where top-down should start, and let's see what they got here. Okay, we started on the monthly time frame, right? Like I was saying, we already went through this fair value gap. There's a fair value gap down here. We hit that fair value gap as well. If you look at the market cycles, we have an expansion into reversal, into consolidation. So this move up is manipulation, right? As per market cycles. So we're expecting a distribution lower. We already hit the monthly fair value gap here though, so there could be a retracement on the daily time frame. But we'll keep that in mind. So our monthly is locked in right now. We know it's likely to go bearish, but there could be a retracement. We are in the weekly time frame. Previous weekly, wow, this weekly candle is so large. Okay, so we have a smaller weekly candle, way smaller than the previous, and we might see a retracement back to discount. That is a possibility. Weekly is unclear of if it's actually gonna retrace. So let's look at the daily. If there's an indication that we actually want to go back to premium. We did run this low here on DXY. If we go to Euro, it's here obviously no S&T, so that's actually good for later on, right? Because then it makes it a less strong high. Let's put up a fib so we know where discount is situated. Okay, so discount is all the way down here. So by the looks of it, even though the monthly looks very bearish, we don't want to be a buyer on a Euro because we need that retracement, right? So we got to follow the market cycles. And market cycles are extremely important when you're doing top-down analysis. Even if your market profile is bullish on a higher time frame, that doesn't mean there can be a retracement, and you can actually trade the retracement up until discount, right? That's once it hit discount, you cannot do that anymore. Yeah, now if I look over here, we actually have on the 4H, we have a continuation purge, right? So these are all signatures that we're in bearish order flow, even though the monthly is bullish, right? Now, what do we want to aim for? Obviously, you aim for the most equal targets, which are, for example, these lows. But discount is down here, right? So there's more room to go lower than just these lows. We have that information right now. Let's put a fib on DXY as well, so we know either one of them hit premium or discount. And I will keep DXY on the daily, and we'll just focus on Euro, see where we can get an entry. Okay, let me divide up the daily. Right, so I divided up the daily, right, on New York midnight opening. This is purely for daily profiles, not for the opening of the actual daily candle. We had the purge here on the high, right? So we're expecting this high to stay intact. Where's that high on the daily? That's the actual low here. Right, so the low of the previous daily candle. We already have a balanced range below it, so we would expect just Monday just straight up trade higher on DXY, which means this one should go lower. Is there an actual POY what we can work with? Not really, right? There's nothing really here. So let's see what Asia session does. Okay, so if you look at Asia session here, we actually had an expansion higher back to premium of this last range. We do have this up close candle which it hit, and that took out the high, which means I'm still convinced this high should not get taken out. And we should just continue lower, right? We want to see that retracement on the daily. That's our top-down perspective. These are the equal lows we mapped out earlier, right? So where do we want to get in? And we want to be a buyer above daily opening price or seller above daily opening price, ideal. So ideally, even though we just ran it up here, we could run it again and then drop. Or if we do a slight retracement and then drop, we'll use an IFG or we'll use a CSDOB. So we're going to be patient here. Okay, we run the high. That's one of the scenarios, right? Let's see what it does after. We have a nice closure here. Ideally, I want to use an IFG, and this is important, you use the IFG that's actually in discount, right? Because this is a discount level, which should hold if you're bullish, but if it gets violated, right, we'll use this as an opposing array. So don't try to use premium discount arrays, right? Like if there's a fair value gap in premium, yes, it could be used, but this one is more valuable because we actually run and did a manipulation, and if we then break down below it, then we should have a high probability IFG. I'm gonna wait. Well, no, we're gonna wait. We'll wait for the IFG. We hit it. Okay. We hit it and we might miss it. Yeah, we could have... Nah, I would have put my limit on this OB here and then we would have still missed it, so that doesn't matter. This would probably be a missed trade, but you can see how my top-down analysis makes me believe price wants to go back here, right? That's the most important part. And now we want to actually get an entry. So this is 9 a.m., right? So a new 4H candle is about to burst. Yeah, a new 4-hour candle is about to open up. How do you get in over here? It's going to be extremely difficult. This was probably news by the looks of it. Yeah, 30 pips in 15 minutes, probably news. If it does retrace, I'm still going to put a limit there. If it does retrace, I think this is still valid, right? As always, I want to say thank you to everybody who is following. If you're not following yet, make sure to hit the subscribe and like button. Now let's get back to the video. But we'll see where the range ends up being. We'll do 2% on a 2R setup, right? Because we're just initially targeting these lows. Put in an order. Within this order, can we do that? Yeah, 2%. Right, so that's being input. Let's do 15 minutes. Still valid, we didn't take out the range low. So now we're going into Asia session. We might get that run up right now with Asia. That's fine. Let's look at the 1H. Yeah, actually, this limit is still fine. So if we put a bid, the entry is in premium, right? Because we are above the 50% line, so this IFG is still valid for me. I'm gonna extend it, and we're gonna wait until it gets stacked. There's nothing below here on DXY, so we should still see it bend a little bit higher. Let's look at the weekly here. Yeah, I think it's still fine to participate. Not expecting a deep run here. Keep this on a daily again and see if we can get a retracement. You're not getting a retracement by the looks of it. Don't like all these equal highs though, but we'll see where the range ends up being before New York. If there's a 1-hour FEG being formed, right, we can just literally take that one. That's it. We're not going to expect price to go up here then again. We ran the low, but we closed back inside, so that's not a good sign. I don't want to look for an entry within this range then. Still what? As long as this low is intact, we're still going to anticipate price coming back to premium. Did we get tagged? Yeah, we did get tagged. Let's look at the 15 minute. We're going to monitor the trade on I would say the lower time frame. Some of you, maybe 15 minute is not lower, is higher time frame because you trade a 1 minute or 15 second chart. We are at like 6:30. Yeah, let's just monitor how this behaves. Kind of iffy. We already took out the higher, now we're trading lower, but the bias is still bearish on EU for me. And so, well, we might trade below these lows again. I'm pretty confident we're still going to go down. Looks pretty good. Consolidating. Oh, this is why it's very important to stick to your bias. Your top-down analysis is what gives you the confidence to execute on a lower time frame, and this is just an entry that shows a why. Do we want to go break even soon? Look at the 1 hour. Look how we use that IFG, which is the opposing array. Once you flip the other side of the curve, we're gonna go break even here. We're not expecting price to come back into our entry. And yeah, this is just the perfect example of how to use the other side of the curve to frame a setup. We're just gonna let this play out. I don't see an... maybe we could scale in here, but it's too close to the entry. I don't want to do that. Okay, so this midnight opening again, right? If we look at the daily candle, this closure is not indicative of lower prices. So we're just still expecting price to run lower. Did we actually go to the... Yeah, we actually did that. Yeah, we did. Look. Yeah, we actually tagged that on. We could have scaled in, but like I said earlier, I find it close to our previous entry. But yeah, it's pretty good. Pretty good read on the FEG. Okay, there we go. That's the first setup. So we banked 4%. So 2R trade. Lovely. Top-down analysis is still in play, right? Our bias is still intact. Let's see what we can do from here on out, right? Where are we in the week? We are on Wednesday. Let's look at the weekly candle. Weekly candle starts to expand. It might take 2 weeks before we reach the premium level, right? So we'll see where we can get on an entry. We just ran these lows, which was the first target, right? And now we're gonna let price develop for Asia because it's end of the day here. Wow, that's a massive move during Asia session. Yeah, that's a 40 plus pip move. Almost 50 pips during Asia session, which means ideally we skip London because with a large range previous session, the next session is very likely to consolidate or even continue the trend, right? But it's in premium, so we don't want to touch that. The way it's closing above these imbalances without a rejection makes me believe we might set low the week here because we already ran these lows. So we might see a bullish closure today, but then I want to see previous daily high get run and then drop again. But we're at the end of the week, and so it's Friday, day after. So we'll skip London. Right, so this is 4 a.m. 5, 6, 6, 7. Right, so yeah, this does not look that handsome for lower right now, and we already took one good. This is the thing, right? It depends on capital. If you have like 600, 700k in prop firm capital and you make 2% in 1 week, you literally make $14,000, right? But if you have like a 10k account, yeah, you only make like $400. So always think about the capital and not the amount of trades you need to take or the amount of percentages you need to take or need to make. This is New York session. Kinda, you're gonna be fluid with your top down as well, right? We're expecting the daily on DXY to reach this area, but if the weekly candle has already expanded, you can't expect every single daily candle to be bullish, right? So I think we're just gonna skip this Thursday and see where Friday ends up. You don't have to trade every single session, every single day. Wait for information. But I thought we might pop out over here on DXY, especially because we're respecting this FEG here as well. Now we're running up higher. We're going back into territory where we already looked for shorts. So if that gets revisited right now, there might be a change in order flow, but we'll know with the daily candle closures. Daily candle closure is more important than what's happening on the 1 hour here. Okay, so we're back at midnight opening price. The daily is, I don't think the daily looked like it wants to go lower yet, because we're still closing within the body here on the daily. That's it, the weekly. It's the same-ish. So yeah, if you look at the 4 hour, just because we ran lower here, doesn't mean we're gonna go bearish, right? We ran a low, but we still rejected and it looks like it wants to go higher, right? So we we will stay with the bullish buys until we have another leg down, because then we can expect this to be the smart money reversal, right? And see how I'm using the 4 hour to justify higher time frame direction, but the 4 hour is not in line. And I say this a lot to my private students as well. The 4 hour is extremely important. You can't just switch your buys because the 1 hour time frame is like this. Now the 4 hour could get in line soon, but we'll have to wait for a little bit of information, right? So we'll skip London here. Maybe skip even the entire Friday. Right, so we ran above here. Didn't take out these highs, that's fine though. And see how this is moving up again without displacing lower. It's still an indication we're gonna go run higher back towards premium, which is all the way up here, remember? This is 6, 7, 8, 9. And now we're getting something, right? Look. So we're smart about when we need to wait. This is important. And I only took one trade, but I'm off 4,000. So that's like more than a monthly salary for most people, right? In one trade. So think about the perspective. Yeah, well, this is 9 a.m. I really want to see day closure before we do anything. But we might see the actual low being set here. Because we don't have GBP USD right now, but GBP USD might be in this kind of a range, right? And then both can move higher. But we'll keep that in mind. And now we're getting somewhere, right? Now we're getting somewhere. We're forming a sort of a range for the next weekly candle. This is the new weekly opening, by the way. We can't catch anything here, so this doesn't matter, right? The weekly candle opened up over here, but if it's running like this in Asia, that doesn't matter because we can't catch that. Okay, now we're at midnight opening. Here's the thing, right? We have an indication we might go lower, but we need to be back in premium of the 4 hour range. So if we go to the 4 hour on EU, yes, we already tagged this there, but we can still run the lows, right? Because this prevailing gap is pretty big. So if we put a fib on the low to high, this is bang on equilibrium. So running that low is still a possibility. And then I would literally buy below this low, honestly. Like, we're having an indication we're topping out, right? Smart money reversal, low risk sell. Next distribution phase, we want to take out a short-term low and then continue up. Because remember, this is the start of the weekly candle, right? It just ran with Asia and that's it. So what we're going to do, we're going to long below this low. We're going to have a stop loss on the low itself. We're aiming for, where we want to aim for. Go to the weekly. Obviously the daily low, so it should be a pretty nice run up. This makes it like almost 4 hour out as well, right? This is a big like move. So putting your stop loss on this low doesn't matter. It looks like it's a wide stop loss for 40 pips, but we're using a weekly expansion, right? So we're not scalpers. So keep that in perspective, right? Just because I have a 40 pip stop loss doesn't mean that's wide. Depends on the context and what you're actually aiming for. Okay, let's input this further. We'll just do a 2%. You have almost like 3.5 hour room. So that it could be like a 2 trade challenge, honestly. Did I just do 2%, right? Yeah, 2%. We need 6K, so actually our target needs to be down here or up here. Right, so this is our actual TP, but the target is all the way up here, right? If you look at market maker models, and try to do this as well. If you look at like this, we'll see all this stuff here. We're not interested in this. We were interested in sell side of the curve, which is this. And now we're on buy side of the curve. So this is where the lower sell prints, next leg up is the highest probability leg in the market maker model, which is running a low in discount and then continuing. So I'm very, very confident. This is for me an A++++++ setup. And if it does not work, I would 100% still take this one. Let's see if we can actually drop lower and get tagged. We get tagged here. And now I want to see it one higher. So we dipped back in a little bit deeper. This is why the stop loss is that wide, right? I could have narrowed it down, maybe all the way down here or here or here. But I want to get into the trade because this looks like a prime setup for higher. in a market make a buy model, right? So we're just gonna eat the drawdown a little bit and then hold it throughout. Let me extend this. We're not gonna look for a re-entry. There's nothing to look for here. We're just gonna hold it, see where it goes. If it goes bearish for booked, then we'll look for another setup. And I'm wrong about bias, I guess, but we'll reevaluate. Because on the back of our minds, right, if we go to the daily, we might still go here, but it's worth to look for a short based on the 4 hour. Okay, so this daily candle didn't do anything. So we have an inside bar. It's actually not that good because typically when you have an inside bar, if we go bearish, it wants the high again before going lower. So we might get stopped out on this setup, but if it rejects again, we'll just look for a re-entry. We're not going to touch it. We're not going to micromanage the setup here. Okay, that's beautiful. Do we want to go break even? That's the question, right? I think we can go to the 4 hour. Are we expecting the 4 hour to run all the way back into this lower end of this prevailing gap? I don't think so, right? Whereas that but the daily candle has to go all the way back down, almost close to the opening price again. So no, I don't think that should happen. We're just gonna go break even here. So we trusted what we saw on the 4 hour. We kept our stop loss open. And this still looks like a market maker buy model in my opinion, especially if you start to close up here. And we're just gonna hold, aim for this high here. Yeah, nothing we can do right now. This is 12, so we're outside of my regular trading hours. I don't trade at 12 p.m. unless there's like a key level hit and I'm really expecting price to go in a certain direction. I'm recording still, right? Yeah, okay. Would be a bummer if I wasn't recording. No way. No way. We just missed our TP here by 1 pip. No way they're doing this. Okay. Yeah, I guess the hell is, man. And if I have like $50 above the TP as well, so if I do this, no, I wouldn't. It wouldn't have hit anyway. Okay, yeah, that's kind of unfortunate. It would have been a pass. Yeah, let's just see what they do on the 15, I guess. Might have set the low here, so I'm praying for another run higher, but yeah, it looks like it's cooked. Oh, we're still in. We're still in. We ran the daily lows. We need to hold. We can't just close. Oh my god, we'll just stop that break even here. Watch this. Let me zoom in. Just a humble 0.2 pip. It's all calculated, guys, right? Yeah, we should just see this high get run, honestly. I'm just gonna hold it. Are you? Come on, man. Come on. There we go. There we go. That was the biggest edge I've ever felt in trading here on the Simulation Sunday. But yeah, top-down analysis was perfect, right? We know when to change your bias as well. Hopefully you learned something from this video. I think it was very packed full of information. Make sure to hit the like and subscribe button as always, and I'll catch you guys next week again.